Well, with unemployment rates at the highest peak in decades, now 1 in every 6 people in America out of work, families everywhere are trying to figure out how to survive this pandemic and look for a new job. But here is something very few of the newly unemployed might realize. There's a lot of work out there, a lot of it, and it might just be a few clicks away. So we are really excited to welcome Scott Bonneau, Scott Bonneau, like the musician, VP of Global Talent Attraction, HR Analytics, and HR Technology. How can I forget, because you're a musician yourself, that your last name is just like that other famous guy's last name?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm here in my recording studio turned makeshift home office during the pandemic, and it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know this is a super serious topic, and yet there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's some good news here for people, especially here in the Bay Area. Let's dive right in. How many jobs are available to people in the Bay Area right now?
So we're definitely seeing impacts from the pandemic on the job economy in the Bay Area, as well as much of the rest of the world. And so right now, job postings are down about 43.5% from where they were at the same point in time in 2019.
Okay, what kind of jobs are we seeing available to people right now? Are they minimum wage jobs? Are we seeing a lot of work from home, a lot of more freelance or kind of contract work right now?
Yeah, there's a healthy mix. So, the top 5 job postings from employers in the Bay Area right now include software engineer and senior software engineering jobs, as well as retail sales associates, customer service representatives, and delivery drivers. And from the job seeker perspective, we are seeing people searching for customer service representative jobs, software engineering jobs, administrative assistants, delivery drivers, and interns are some of the highest frequency searches that we're seeing from job seekers in the Bay Area right now.
What are some of the biggest surprises as you look through the numbers of who's hiring right now?
I don't know about surprises, but we're seeing, a healthy mix of critical infrastructure companies and services, biomedical and healthcare, as well as retail, service industry, and technology jobs. So, among the employers who are fairly active on the platform right now in the San Francisco Bay Area includes Facebook, Genentech, Roche, Kaiser Permanente, Taco Bell, DoorDash, Bevmo, the Postal Service, PG&E, as well as Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service.
So there's a little something for everyone out there. What's your advice for someone who was recently laid off or facing unemployment? What would you tell them right now?
I think one of the biggest things that job seekers can do is take the steps that they can to make themselves available to employers. So, with Indeed, you can upload or update your resume. We've added a hashtag to Indeed to indicate, for job seekers to indicate that they are ready to work. So hashtag ready to work is something that they can indicate to employers that they can start immediately. And we've seen that's something that hundreds of thousands of job seekers have done. We have one of Indeed's products that we launched over the last few years is something called hiring events, where individual employers or sometimes groups of employers will hold an event, not unlike a job fair, to identify and come into contact with a number of candidates for a bunch of open roles. We've now pivoted that to virtual hiring events, and we've now hosted more than 200 of those virtual hiring events on the platform. And that allows job seekers to sort of skip a perhaps long and burdensome application process, move directly into a safe online and remote interview with an employer. And all of these things help with getting job seekers information and their availability directly in front of employers, which can help both increase the chances of finding a role and the speed of finding a new role.
What's the biggest change when you're looking for a job today as we start reopening, the different phases of reopening? Is it safe to go in for a face-to-face interview, or are there things that you really need to take into account if you're doing a virtual interview? Are those two scenarios truly different? And are there any insider tips or tricks we should know if we're doing an interview virtually versus in person?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple things here. I mean, one is we've definitely seen a spike in both job seeker interest for remote work as well as employers posting for jobs that explicitly describe themselves as being remote work, either permanently or temporarily due to the current health crisis. And so on the employer side of things, we've also introduced a tag where employers can tag their jobs as remote work, which allows job seekers to find those roles as well. With respect to remote interviewing, I think we are sort of in the largest social experiment in maybe ever around how do we conduct business when some basic assumptions that we've made in the past about people's availability in person not being things that we can do anymore. And there's been, I think, quite a bit of innovation in this space, even just over the last couple of months, including in places like Indeed with virtual hiring events and providing the facility for online remote interviewing in a very expedient and effective way. But I think, the truth is that job seekers and employers are all still in the process of figuring this out. And so I think that we're going to continue to see this emerging over time and things changing, and hopefully, people finding those ways to be, efficient and effective at this sort of new way of living and working.
Tell me a little bit more about Indeed in general.
I'm sorry, I missed you for a little bit. Could you repeat the question?
Tell me a little bit about Indeed in general. What kind of services does Indeed offer, and how great of a tool is it for someone who's looking for a job right now?
Well, Indeed, we have a very simple and singular mission, and our mission is to help people get jobs. You'll see it if you were to be able to come into one of our offices, you'd see it on the walls, you'd see it on T-shirts that people wear. But it's very much not just a fancy marketing slogan for us. It's very much our core mission. It starts with our CEO all the way on down through everyone in the business, and it's why we do what we do. We have constantly made the decision in the way that we've developed our products and the way that we've sold our products to put the job seeker first. We ask ourselves, is this going to help the job seeker? And if it is, we do it. If it's not, we don't. And so, from our very simple search interface that literally just asks you what and where in terms of a role that you might be looking for, to the Indeed resume product, which allows job seekers to highlight their skills and their experiences and get that in front of prospective employers. Really, everything that we do is designed to work on the job seeker's behalf. And to that end, we have more than 250 million unique job seekers that use Indeed services every month, and that's a number that's been growing consistently throughout the company's 15-year history. And we are very much working right now to innovate, to adapt to the current circumstances, so that we can continue to serve the job seeker as the dynamics of the workplace change.
Well, Scott, there's an arts and nightlife theme to today's show. With so many venues closed, performances canceled indefinitely, there's a lot of people around the Bay Area, people who work in the box offices, ushers, stage managers, all the way to the musicians, the dancers, the actors. They're suddenly left without jobs. And I noticed that Indeed has jobs that really span this wide range, including postings for dancers, musicians, and other folks in the arts. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, one of the things that Indeed really tries to focus on is helping everyone everywhere get jobs. And there really isn't a single shape or form for work. There is your sort of typical 9 to 5, 40-hour-a-week corporate jobs. There are service industry jobs. There's gig work and side work, and there's certainly the entertainment industry. And I'm here based in Austin, Texas, and we like to call ourselves the live music capital of the world. And many of my friends are full-time working musicians that are in that same boat. And we've seen people work to get very creative, lots and lots of online shows, streaming shows, that people are doing, and some of the venues here in Austin have started to do shows in the venue, but with no audience, and streaming them online, and making some of them are free, some of them are ticketed, some of them provide tipping options online. And so payment platforms and PayPal and Venmo and those other things have become very essential services for these folks that are more into that sort of gig work part of the economy. It's actually been really interesting and uplifting to see these communities of folks that support the arts and support the artists come together to find ways to do that, in this economy. But there's no doubt that for those that work in the entertainment industry, this is perhaps a more challenging time than for many other segments of the economy.
I was speaking with someone else from Indeed earlier today, and she was telling me that, with tourism basically canceled, so many people in the hospitality industry, tourism industry, there's a great need, especially for work from home customer service industry folks right now. Anybody who can maybe pivot from working in travel and tourism to working in customer service, huge uptick in those kinds of jobs. Are you seeing that as well?
We absolutely are. And you see that evidenced in both the job postings, particularly in the Bay Area, but we see this across all segments of the economy as well. And the job seeker searches, there's quite a bit for customer service representatives, for sales associates remotely, and that type of work. And the other thing I would say is that you talked about people pivoting, and we certainly are seeing, I think, now is a time when people are looking for transferable skills, things that may have applied in one area of the economy when everything was fully opened up, but where there are applications, even in the sort of changed economy that we're in today. So I think for people looking for those transferable skills, those types of customer service and customer support, sales associates roles, and those types of things are opportunities that we are seeing very healthy activity in across the economy right now.
All right, Scott, last question. What's the biggest takeaway for you personally during this great pause? What has changed? What will forever change for you?
I think one of the things that has struck me is the deep interconnectedness that I think we all that has been true forever about our society, that I think people are starting to maybe take a little bit less for granted. The critical roles that are played every day, by our healthcare workers and the postal service and the delivery workers and food service, and that maybe we weren't as sensitive to, as we should have been in the past. And I think that this has really highlighted that. And looking for silver linings, I think we've, as a society, I think really become a little bit more awake to this. And, one of the things that I have just been extremely grateful for, in my time, over these last couple of months, and Indeed, is just the amount of patience and grace that people have exhibited, whether it's in remote meetings with babies crying or dogs barking or people barging in or doorbells ringing, and the sort of good humor that everyone has brought to that, certainly in my experience, has been humbling. And I'm hoping that we can take a little bit more away from that, not just in our own little circles, but, as things return to a new normal here moving forward as well.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Such great words of wisdom, and such a pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you so much, Scott Bonneau, VP of Global Talent Attraction at Indeed.com. Thank you so much. And well, surprise, in the spirit of arts and entertainment, I asked him to stick around and play some live closing music. Stay safe, everybody. We'll see you back here next week. Play a little song.
Play a little song.